Welcome to Stormag's Writers Cafe, where we share the real writer's life over a cup of friendship, sprinkled with laughter and wisdom. My name is LaShonda Hoffman, and I'm your host. This episode is sponsored by Virtual Tea with LaShonda, Promotion Strategy Session. Are you frustrated by your promotion? It's time for a promotion audit. Check the show notes for links so you can schedule your promotion audit and get back on track to being a social butterfly. Today's podcast is a book brag. I've invited 4 authors to come in and brag about their books. Today's guests are K.R. Bankston, Laura Johnson, Christina Mial, and Chelle Ramsey. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, thank you.
Hey.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
We will start with K.R. Please tell us about you and your books and read an excerpt from your latest book. Go.
All right. My name is K.R. Bankston. I am a criminal serial novelist, which means that pretty much anything I write is going to turn into a serial. I've been writing all my life. I have about 30-plus books in publication right now. I am self-published, and I am an avid football addict, so I'm always watching that when it's football season. Love to write. And just really enjoy what I do and invite everyone to get to know me a little bit better. I'm found on all the social networks, which I'll give you later if time permits. But please just, join in and enjoy my work. The excerpt that I would read would be from my latest book called Shattered Peace. It is a dramatic piece. It could be actually called edgy Christian fiction or women's fiction. And this is where our 2 main characters actually meet for the first time. Emerging lastly into the beautiful sunlit morning, Tatiana inhaled the welcome fresh air and liberated her lungs from the putrid hell they endured on her 10th-floor descent in the elevator. "Hi, Miss Reynolds," Naima greeted as she passed the bench where the young woman sat. She and several other young ladies were listening intently once again to the 4 or 5 young men speaking to them. "Hi, Naima," Tatiana returned before one of the young men addressed her. "Peace, Miss Reynolds," he addressed politely. "Hello," Tatiana smiled. "My name is Sharif," he continued as Tatiana listened. "Perhaps you would like to sit in and be enlightened by today's mathematics." Tatiana regarded the young man for a few moments silently before finally opening her mouth to speak. "Thank you, Sharif," she began as Naima lowered her head. She already knew what was going to come out of her neighbor's mouth. Tatiana had a reputation for being an atheist who did not take very kindly to anyone trying to talk to her about anything vaguely religious. "But I think I'll pass," she said calmly, not wanting to hurt the young man's feelings. Sharif opened his mouth about to say something else when he was interrupted. "So you're not interested in truth?" The deep masculine voice behind her as Tatiana jumped. Turning, she took in the man standing in front of her. "And you are?" she asked, giving him a look. Smiling slightly, the man introduced himself. "I'm Infinite Knowledge." I see," Tatiana retorted as the group of teens watched. "What is your legal given name?" she threw out, all the while taking in how attractive the man was. "Jaden," he replied, never taking his eyes from her. "Jaden Payne." "And yours?" "Tatiana Reynolds." "It's a pleasure to meet you. Why don't you join us?" Jaden put forth. "I think you will find it very enlightening." Tatiana chuckled somewhat. "Oh, I'm sure you do think that," she replied sarcastically, beginning to walk away. "What do you have against truth?" Jaden questioned, not wanting her to leave just yet. "Nothing," Tatiana returned. "I just find that most times the truth is a very gray area in cults like yours." "We're not a cult, Tatiana. Please sit down. Listen for a few moments and decide for yourself. Or are you afraid?" And that's the end of that excerpt. And I hope that you guys will check out this offering. I think you'll find it very enjoyable. Tatiana and Jaden are our go-to couple, but they are surrounded by a very hefty cast of supporting characters with their own stories to bring to the table.
Thank you. That was very interesting. Are you ready, Laura?
Thank you.
Hopefully I am. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, very clear. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, I'm Laura Johnson. I am a writer of fiction. I write in the genre of romance, but mine has a little bit of a twist to it. My bottom line topic in my books is about domestic violence. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I was in an abusive relationship probably going on about 15 years ago. And it was something that was kind of hard for me to get over. And so the very first novel that I wrote was actually my journal. So I turned my journal into a book of fiction, and I didn't self-publish that book. I had a publisher for that first book. But my following books are self-published. I am currently working on a series. It's entitled Unbalanced. And basically it follows a couple from the time that they meet in college until throughout their entire relationship. And basically we see the ups and downs of their relationship, what they go through, what type of person each one of them basically turns out to be. And so the excerpt that I'll be reading is from the book that I released, probably last year, actually. Oh, my God, it's been so long. But I'll be reading the excerpt from that. So I'll get started. Kat heard the horn while she was in the kitchen stirring the spaghetti sauce. She was at the door in seconds. She smiled as she watched Dorian get out and walk slowly towards her. "Hello," he said, leaning against the door jamb. "Hi." He leaned down, kissed her lips, and then her stomach. "How are my two girls?" "We're fine," she said, enjoying being in his arms. "Thank you, Bruce. I can take it from here," Dorian told his driver. Dorian picked up his bag and walked in the house. "Something smells good." "Spaghetti. I hope you're hungry," Kat said. "I am. Let me get a shower and I'll be right down." She kissed him again and then went back into the kitchen. After his shower and throwing on jeans and a T-shirt, Dorian went into his office. He turned on his computer and checked the software that he downloaded. With this software, Dorian could see the emails Kat sent out and received. He could even see the websites she visited. Everything seemed okay until he clicked on the last website she'd visited. "Oh, really?" he said to himself. He logged out of the computer and headed downstairs. "Just in time," Kat said as she set the dinner table. Sorry about that. Dorian didn't say a word. He sat down at the table and watched her prepare his plate. "I'm so glad you're back home in time for the doctor's appointment tomorrow. We can also pick up the other stuff we ordered for the baby's room." When Kat realized she was the only one talking, she asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing," Dorian said. "Yes, there is. What happened between upstairs and now?" "You've been job hunting," Dorian said out of the blue. "Yeah, I have, so." "I thought we discussed this," he said. "So did I. I guess we were both wrong. You don't need a job." "I know I don't need a job, but I want one." "Too bad. You're not getting a job, and that's the end of the discussion." "No, it's not the end. Why are you so against me working? Everyone else has a job. I'm the only one who doesn't have something of their own. I'm tired of being alone in this house." "So what?" he said. "What did you say?" she asked him. "I said, so what? You're my wife, and you will do what I say. You will not be working. I provide everything for you. All that you have is because of me. You don't need anything else." And that's the end of my excerpt.
Okay. Let's be interested to see how she handles that, huh? You ready, Christina?
No, because I want her to keep going.
I know, right? I'm like, how dare he? But,
I'm like,
don't make me keep reading, please.
That means you got to go get this book when you get off this call.
I know, right? I have to support all of the ladies, even though I haven't heard the last one, but that I wrote that on my Post-it. First, let me say, Laura, I'm so proud of you being a survivor. That takes strength, and I admire you
Thank
for that.
you.
I am a survivor as well, and I love it whenever a woman uses her voice that was tried to take away from her. So, just want to give you a hand clap.
Thank you
Um,
so much. Thank
you're
you.
welcome. So yes, I am Christina. I am a full-time writer for Union Gospel Press, which is a Sunday school publication that a lot of churches use for their Sunday school lessons and Bible studies. I'm a faith-based writer. Most of my writing, well, no, not even most, all of my writing revolves around church and spirituality in the gospel. My first book, which I'll be reading an excerpt from tonight, is titled By His Stripes, A Story of Redemption. And it was a book that I did not want to write, but God would not let me sleep until I did. So, of course, I did because I wanted to sleep. And I am based in Raleigh, North Carolina, mother of four, wonderful, crazy, worrisome kids, ages 23, 20, 11, and 8. So I will be reading again from By His Stripes, my first book. Um, I just wanted to share why this particular book was written and why it was written the way it is. First, I wanted to share with you the details of my journey, and I wanted you to know I was talking to you. Granted, I am telling my story, but it is also me inviting you into my living room to sit on my couch and hear what I experienced that ended with these pages now being in your hand. I wrote this book with the broken in mind. God reminded me of the pain I carried for years and showed me the faces of many that carry the same pain. The pages of this book were written with the ones in mind afraid to speak out. For the mothers and fathers seeking answers as to why their child may be acting out, this book is for you. For the person that is ashamed of the weight of dirty secrets, I pray that you will find release in this book. Someone somewhere is reading this and has decided that the mistakes that they made have already predestined them for a failed life. My prayer is also that after reading this, you will recognize it that the only failure is giving up. No matter who we are or what we've done, the moment we choose to believe in and trust God's plan for our lives, we change the future. It is at that moment that every bad thing we have ever done and that has ever been done to us can be used for the good of God and to his glory. As Genesis 50 and 20 tells us, when Joseph's brothers were worried about him getting revenge for how they had treated him, he responded, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." This scripture speaks dearly to my life, and I know to the lives of many other victims of abuse that now choose to speak out. Our abusers had the intent to control us and to break us, but once we are free of their hold on our lives and we help someone else, we too are saving many lives, just as Joseph speaks about in this verse. One of the main issues that haunted my conscience that I had was that of promiscuity. I was convinced because of the past sexual history that I had experienced, I was forever going to be damaged goods. Society, after all, teaches us that no man wants a loose woman, while at the same time, every time we turn on the television, it is forcing sex down our throats. Again, I read of someone in the Bible with a dirty past that God still used. In the book of Joshua, we are introduced to Rahab. Rahab was a well-known prostitute that chose to trust God's plan and believed that it included even her. Despite her past and despite what people were saying about her, she risked her life and hid two spies in her home when they came. This noble act set her up in the bloodline to be an ancestor of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Rahab's story taught me that not only can God use anybody, but he will use them to accomplish great things. Rahab did not let her fear stop her from believing God would deliver on his every word and promise. When I heard the Holy Spirit telling me I was going to write, it was not during a time where I was ready to receive it. But as time went on and I would share things that I had been through in my life with people, they too would tell me to write a book. And I'm going to skip down so that I can go ahead and end it. So later in life, when I heard God tell me to write, this time I heard the Lord say, "Tell your story." I heard him say it, and I started to question him. How, why, and why now? I'm saved now, so why do I need to tell this story? But he asked me one simple question that changed the whole course of my life. Do you trust me? That's my excerpt.
Thank you. I like that. That was deep. Chelle, you're last. You ready?
I don't know. After those ladies, they had some really powerful things to share. And
yes, you got to bring it, Chelle. You got to bring it.
Yeah. But honestly, all hats off to you all for sharing your stories. I think that's extremely beautiful. Not a victim of domestic violence, but my mom was, and I really appreciate you guys using your voices to speak out on that, and it's encouraged me more. I'm actually a survivor, an incest survivor, and was molested at a very early age, and I've actually been working on releasing all of that hurt through some of the things that I've been writing. And so skipping over that for a minute to come back, I am Chelle Ramsey, women's fiction author. My stories are very dramatic and drama-filled with a lot of hurt and pain, but through the hurt and pain, you see my characters grow and they find their way to Christ or find their way back to Christ in some instances where they've fallen away. So I try to use my novels as an outlet for my own healing as well as to encourage and heal others. I'm a blogger and an HR professional. I love HGTV. I am a mother of 3, a 24-year-old, a 16-year-old, and my 17-year-old, and a wife of my wonderful husband who we've been together for 21 years now. But they are my greatest fans. They support me in everything that I do. With that being said, though, the story that I'm going to read tonight is from A Woman's Design Affliction, and there are 3 different characters in there, and one in specific, she's going through a lot of hurt and pain from her marriage, from the emotional abuse her husband has afflicted upon her, and she's kind of fallen away, and sometimes we look up and we see ourselves in a situation and we think we're handling it in one way, but we're actually handling it in another. And while she's constantly pointing the finger at her husband for all the wrong he's doing, the affairs he's having, and the emotional abuse he's heaping on her, she tends to turn to someone else. And before long, she finds herself in an emotional affair. And through these stories, each of these women have followed, and there are 3 different women. One of them has sexual promiscuity as a result of what she's gone through in being molested. And that's, she used her body as her outlet. But in this particular excerpt that I'm going to read, Ambiance is the one who's been dealing with infidelity with her husband. And she, too, has fallen away from Christ and has found herself in an emotional affair. So that's the excerpt I'm going to share on this evening. As time passed, we fell into an easy and convenient flow of having lunch together daily. It happened without either of us noticing it. After our first lunch together, Nick invited me to lunch the next day on the premise that he wanted to run an idea by me. Then I invited him back to lunch the day after that to prepare for a meeting I had with one of his business contacts. He was so easy to talk to and share a couple of laughs with. I look forward to spending time in his presence, and his opinions matter to me. So, why aren't you dating anyone? I scooped a forkful of crab salad into my mouth. I don't know. This business keeps you going, and you have very little time to date. Most of my business partners in this industry are married. The women understand the long hours and dedication to the business. You pretty much make this your life if you want to be successful at it, and I am relatively successful. I finished chewing my salad. But you make time to have lunch with me every day. You could be spending those lunch hours with some special woman, whining and dining her. Yeah, but most women want to go out in the evening or spend time together on the weekend. I just don't have that time right now. I'm usually in the office late in the evening or night, and on the weekends I'm at a project site or another. Don't get me wrong, I get time in here and there, but more often than not, I'm tied up in work. But then again, I choose to give myself to my work because it's really the only life I have. I mean, you should understand. Did you tell me your husband was an attorney who worked long hours? I sipped on my glass of tea to wash down the salad and compose my thoughts. Yes, I had told him that, but it wasn't the complete truth. Nick, my husband is an attorney who spends long hours and days at the office and in court. But the truth? I took another sip of my tea as I contemplated what I would say. Nick nodded, urging me to go on. My husband often has late nights at his brother's and boys' houses as well. Maybe you're just assuming that ambiance, he said, attempting to get me to see a positive side. No, it's not an assumption. It's what he's told me. Well, he could be out running the streets. Have you told him how it makes you feel? He knows. And that's just the problem. I'm not so sure he isn't running the streets. As a matter of fact, he was doing exactly that the first year of our marriage. He gave me the same excuses he gives me now, and I learned he was having an affair with a woman named Kendra. I couldn't understand why he would marry me if he wasn't ready to settle down, I confessed. I was feeling the rush of pain all over again as if it had only been yesterday. To a certain extent, I felt it could have been. I had no clue what my husband was out there doing these days. He could tell me whatever, and I had to trust him. But a gut feeling inside told me not to. Most nights he doesn't come home. I mean, he probably comes home 2 or 3 nights out of the week. The rest of the time, I just get a text telling me he's with his brothers or at one of the fellows' houses. Most of his friends and his brothers live in the downtown area near his job, so it's a convenient excuse. A text, huh? There was something brewing in his eyes, and I couldn't detect what it was. Yeah, it hurts because he chooses not to come home, and I'm left there feeling like I'm not worthy of a phone call. Ambiance, do you have children? No, I refuse to. I don't think we should have children until we get our marriage right. In the beginning, we agreed we would enjoy the first 2 or 3 years of marriage before we started a family, but we haven't been able to enjoy that much. Why would I want to bring children into it? The waiter came by to check on us and refresh our drinks. We thanked him. How long have you been married? 5 years. So what are you doing on those nights you've gone away from home? Do you go out with your female friends? Nick was sitting back in his chair, running his fingers down his beard. No, they're usually busy with their own lives. I've no one to hang with or talk to. I watch TV or go to sleep early when I'm not working on my business. My consulting hours are usually between 4 and 7. Afterwards, I just work on different ideas and marketing my business online. But there are many nights when it's just me and my pillow, I confided. I had no clue why I was telling him all of this. I knew I shouldn't, but a part of me couldn't help it. His smoldering eyes were narrowed and heavy. I could only imagine the thoughts going through his head. A part of me was ashamed, because although I wasn't looking to have an affair with my husband, I was looking to be desired by a man. I wanted someone to look at me the way Nick was looking at me now. It made me feel beautiful, sexy, desired, and womanly. And that is my excerpt from A Woman's Design Afflictions, Book 1.
You need to get away from him. Go home. Too much temptation. Too much temptation.
Women can have a way of setting themselves up on purpose and making it right. Not their fault.
Thank you, ladies. These were some great excerpts. I'm loving them. All right, so you know I'm all about book promotion. And so we're going to be talking about book promotion now. My first question is, what advice would you offer someone whose book is about to release? And we'll start with KR if she wants to go first.
No, I don't want to, but you kind of threw me out there, so I guess I will.
Okay, for now, out there. Let's jump in. You can jump in. I won't go in no order. That won't put you on the spot.
Okay. Great. I would say to make sure, honestly, that you have your ducks in a row. I really encourage new authors and up-and-coming authors to take some courses. Go do some, webinars. Get a mentor. You really need to do your homework in this business before you just jump out here and say, okay, I'm going to release a book, because you're going to find yourself very disappointed if it does not perform the way that your expectations are set up. So those expectations really need to be realistic. And that would be the best advice I would give anybody. Do your homework. Make sure you know the business end of the publishing.
That's great advice, because a lot of people just jump in. They don't know that there's a promotion side. They don't know that there's a selling side. And so they're all disappointed with the side that has nothing to do with writing. And
right.
I think that's good advice to do your homework. A lot of people, Amazon has made people think instant writers, as I call them, instant writers, and they're not thinking about. They just think, oh, I can load it up to the Amazon and I'm done. And no, the work begins.
Right.
know? And a lot of people are very confused with that. So that's why I always ask the questions of other artists so you can share your experience to go, hey, I didn't just jump on here, put my book on Amazon, and I'm a success. No.
Right.
It's the other side that goes with it. Anybody else want to chime in?
As far as promotion goes, I would say two things. One, a lot of people I've learned when it comes to promoting, they're asked, who is your audience? And a lot of writers don't know. They, like what was already stated, I wrote a book. That's all they know. I wrote a book. But they don't know exactly who it is that would want to read the material that they're putting out. Is it women? Is it men? Is it the millennials? Is it, the baby boomers, the age groups? They don't understand that. So that does tie in with the research, like that was said. But at the same time, with doing your research, know who you're writing for. Not just writing just to be writing. And I also would say, don't be afraid to promote yourself. A lot of times we and we wait for our friends and everybody else to tell about our work and to talk about it, but not to be afraid to say, hey, this is my work, I'm proud of it, and I think you would be too if you was just to pick it up and read it.
Ooh, that was some good advice. That was good advice. When I work with clients, the first thing they tell me is my book is for everybody. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Who's your audience? Everybody?
It's not for everybody. Even though I wrote a book about promotion, it's not for every writer because there's a lot of writers who's rocking this. They don't need the book, and so I had to know that I was looking for newbies, people who have not a clue about promotion or people who want something fresh and ideas or somebody like me who's a writer and a business owner. I knew those were my 3 targeted readers. I knew that coming out the boat. But most people, they write the book and then they think about their readers. And sometimes you might not have a reader, especially if you're trying to create your own genre. You coming up with this is a science fiction romance, flying across here, and you're going, well, who is my reader?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to and people go, well, I don't want to put myself in the genre. I don't want to put myself in a box. But unfortunately, that's how writing is. That's how reading is. Readers want to know what they're getting. If they push this button, am I getting the romance? Am I getting the mystery? They don't want to be trying to figure it out because you haven't figured it out.
Right.
So you definitely have to know what you're writing and who it's for. So you can go if you went to a mystery conference and all you did was romance. It has no mystery in it. You wasted your money because some people don't even want to hear from you. They're like, you have no mystery in your book, no suspense, nothing. And you're like, no, it's just straight romance. Then you come to a conference thinking, most writers think, I can convert them over. But loyal readers, no, it doesn't work that way. So you definitely have to know who you're reading with. Anybody else want to pop in?
Well, I want to piggyback off Miss Bankston. And one thing that I learned when I first started, like she said, do your homework, do your research, because it was so important for me when I first started. I had no clue how to put a book together. I didn't even know about editing or anything like that. And so me being me and not really just sitting down and thinking about who to talk to first, I ended up sending an email to Terry McMillan. And, it wasn't me being arrogant. It was just I'd read her books, and I was a fan, and I figured she knew more than anybody. So I kind of asked her as many questions as I could, and she was very nice. She was very nice in helping me kind of understand what I needed to do first. And so when I started researching everything I needed, I'm a reader from way back. I love to read. And so I knew I wanted my books to be no different than the authors that were already out there. I didn't want my book to come out and be this horrible thing, and they're wondering why did they let this child put a pen in her hand. It's dangerous, it's sharp, she shouldn't be holding it. And so I didn't want that. I wanted them to look at my book or read my book and go, okay, this seems professional. She seems to be, someone who's been in it a while, even though it would have been my first book. And, it was so much to learn. For new authors, they have no idea how much it is out there to learn. You really can't just write something down and put it out. It does not work like that at all.
That's good advice, too. Thank you. I'm glad Terry responded to you, because I hear a lot from new authors that the seasoned authors aren't helping. They won't respond, or they're rude to them, and so I'm like, oh my goodness, I hate that people have that experience, because for me, I do interviews all the time, but my first letter I wrote to someone, they responded back, and so I have always thought that's what writers do, but
exactly.
And a lot of people don't get that experience now, and I feel sad for them, because it really disheartens them, and some people stop writing because they haven't heard back from their favorite writer, and so I'm glad you had a good experience with that, and you wanted to learn. I'm always telling people to learn, and I guess they look at me like I'm crazy, like I don't have time to learn, LaShonda, and I'm like, I learn every day. Every day I'm reading something. I'm sharing an article to you guys to let you know about it, because stuff changes every day. Facebook changes every day, and so if you're not on top of your game, you get left behind. I'm not on. I used to hear people all the time say they weren't on social media. I'm not on social media. And so I would go, well, how are you selling books? Well, it's on Facebook, it's on Amazon. Okay. Then I start asking, are you getting the Starbucks royalties? Are you getting vacation royalties? And they looking at me like I'm crazy, because they don't want to admit that they're getting Starbucks royalties. And a lot of writers are, because they're not doing their homework. They're not learning the business. You're not going to sell thousands of books every day. You're not. But every now and then you might. You never know. But, you got to get out there and work it. You got to be consistent. And you can't just think that the reader's going to come find you. They not. They got a whole bunch of other people they can pick from, and how are you going to stand out in that crowd? That's the question that you have to ask. How am I going to stand out? How are my book's going to stand out? And am I giving them a good book, or just a bunch of crap because I can be a writer and put it on Amazon and I'm done?
And LaShonda, something else I wanted to add on that too, while they were speaking of the editing piece of it. Also, you definitely want to get a professional cover designer. The mistake that I made, I am not a graphic designer, and if you're not a graphic designer and you're just not gifted in that, if that's not your area or professional expertise, spend the money and get someone to do a professional book cover for you. And for me personally, what I've learned, I don't even like, with my first book, I actually used a cover that was pre-made, but then I saw 2 or 3 other books not long after that with that same exact cover. So I really want it to be reflective of your brand and speak to what your book is about and who you are as an author and that message that you're trying to get out there. Putting your personal stamp on it. All of the books that I put out now, they are designed hand in hand with me and my husband. Most of it's his idea. I put it together on a rough draft on the computer, and then I send it to my book cover designer and say, now, make it look beautiful for us. It's definitely worth the investment. And the other thing that's also critical, I think, is making sure that you start a blog or something, some base where people can come and see you and your work, what you do, and they can connect with you and feel like they have that relationship with you, somewhere they can be more interactive with you.
Mm-hmm. Those were excellent tips. Excellent tips. I am the Canva queen. I love Canva, but I knew I was not a graphic artist. So I was like, I can make my little pictures that I show on social media, but I wanted my book to be made by somebody else. So yes, I invested in a cover because I was not going to put some stuff out there that I made. So like, because it represents you for life, unless you update it later on. A lot of people update their book covers, but I'm thinking that, this is my first book. They already gonna rip me to shreds because it's the first book. So I need to be able to show my face when I come out. So definitely investing in a cover is very important. Very important. And I am. I still blog. I don't blog a lot the way I should, but I think that you should have your own. I always tell my clients, you need to have your own home base. It's nice to have social media, but you also need to have a place to come home to. If Facebook closed tomorrow, where would your readership go? And you always have to remember that. Where would they go? If you got a blog, then you go, hey, Facebook is gone. Come on over to the blog. I'm there every day. You check me there, And a lot of people don't. They use social media only. And I just don't believe that I think you should always have your home base. Even if you don't want to pay for your own domain, there's a lot of free stuff. Use that until you can afford to get your own space. But don't rely on social media as your only place to get your stuff for people to see you. All right. Well, we have gone to 8:44. 9:44 for the Eastern time. And I'm like, wow, we didn't lead on in. I didn't even get to ask all my questions. Here I was talking about the Starbucks royalty. So let's ask this question. What advice would you offer an author whose book isn't selling?
What advice?
Oh, I'm definitely not going to answer that. Yeah, I'm gonna actually take notes on that. So talk real slow, please.
So things that I've done, and I've seen things I've done. I have gone and grabbed reviews of the book and kind of posted them like with the anticipation of, have you read it? This is what people are saying, kind of putting it out there like little virtual trailers. But I've done giveaways. The third person that purchases the book will get something, whether it's a gift card or just something, a giveaway basically. And also I would ask them to kind of be real with themselves. I'm one of those people that doesn't mind holding a mirror up to myself and encouraging you to hold one up to you. So I would ask the person, why do you think it's not selling? Of course it's your book and you're going to give it the best reviews and you're going to speak highly of it. But let's be real, what's wrong with it? Did you check it? Did people that purchased the book, what did they find? What are they saying? Did they find something wrong with it? Was it edited right? Because word of mouth will kill you faster than anything. If I read your book and it's just toe up from the flow up and I can't get past chapter 1 and somebody asks me, have you read that book? Yeah, I tried, and just that right there, they're not going to be interested anymore. So what was it that turned your readers off? Why aren't people reading it? And you have to be ready to take constructive criticism and apply it. If I tell you that you need to go back in and fix it, go back in, fix it, and then relaunch it, and I should know this, but it just slipped my mind, so I'm sure one of my sisters can help me. When you redo your book, what is it called when you revamp it and then you put it back out there? But it's like a title. It's called something. Reprint. It's the same. Yeah. So redo that. And check your. We just talked about covers. Check your cover. It might not be appealing. Some people don't want another book with another face on it. Does your book tell the story of your book before I open it? Do I want to read your book? Mm-hmm. So I would ask the person to just do a sincere evaluation, of their book and inside and out, and ask. Don't clap it on or don't give it a hand clap just because it's yours, but look at it and say, would I buy this book? Would I? If it wasn't my book, would I buy it?
Yeah, everything she just said. Everything she just said.
Yeah.
I didn't have to say anything else. That was it. Very it. You know, you definitely have to. I had to just start offering promotion audits, and that's basically what it is. Come and talk to me. Let's see what's going on with your book, because a lot of people. They'll wait. I've had people I've talked to, and they have 4 or 5 books, and none of them are selling, and they're driving themselves crazy, you know. And sometimes it's just simple things. Like I had one lady, her book wasn't selling because she had them in the wrong. Again, I told you the genre is very important. She had them in the wrong genre, and she put them in the right ones, and the book started selling. You know, she had they had the wrong keywords, and they changed the keywords around, and boom, they went up. You know, because readers don't know you, so they might go into Amazon and search what's the top romances. Well, you can't get in the top romances if your book is in the suspense blog. Are you in coloring books when you're not a coloring book?
Exactly.
Exactly. You're not a Christian book. You hot erotica. What are you doing?
You're erotica, but you under Christianity.
You know, and people do that because they want to get on the best-selling list of something, but get on the right list so people can find you. You know, because even though it goes up to 100, it still goes down the list. You know, to see who else is in their list. And people, if you're not putting your stuff out there in the right places, then you don't know. If you're just promoting on Facebook and that's it, then you're not going to sell many books, especially if you only got 20 people in your following. Okay, I'm going to need you to get some more people. I need you to move to another social media platform, something. Get some help. That's what I do. I help people, but I can't come to you. You got to come to me. You know, if you have an issue. All right, let's see. Well, let's talk a little bit about you all. I'm wondering if KR, are you going to do the boycott? The football boycott? Are you going to be a loyal football fan? Nah.
You know, honestly, I my politics
I had got kicked out,
my
y'all.
love
I'm
of
sorry.
football.
That's okay.
And so I'm going to be honest with you. I may watch it if I just happen to be in the same room, but I am not planning to watch football this year. I'm just kind of over it. I've been over the whole plantation system of football for a long time. I just like the sport itself. I mean, you know, I try to call it like I see it, and it's been a plantation system for a long time. So I may, and then again, I may not.
Okay. I am not a football fan. I tell my husband the only thing I watch is the Super Bowl, and I watch the halftime. I can't even tell you played last time, but the halftime is the bomb, you know. That's me. So I told him, I said, well, I'm not officially boycotting, so can I watch the halftime? He's looking at me like, what? He's a diehard fan, and he's boycotting. I was like, really? He's like, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We have the football playing, and he watches 55 different shows, you know. So
okay.
Like, wow. So, you know, it's serious to some people, really serious, and some people get mad if you say you ain't. But I'm like, look, you know, get your life. Everybody has different opinions about stuff. So you can't force somebody. To me, I'm like, I don't watch football anyway, so I'm not missing it. I'm just gonna be upset about the halftime game and my lovely food that I fixed. That's about it. So you see where my priorities are: the music.
Okay.
And then we lost the Rams. I'm from St. Louis, so we lost our Rams. I did go to a couple of games every now and then, and we lost the Rams. So I'm like, we've been boycotting already for a year. So hey.
Okay.
All right, ladies, let's give a chance to tell us how to find you all. Where can we find you on your social media, on your website? Go from there. Anybody can jump in.
You can. Well, let me go ahead and throw mine out since you threw me out first last time. You can find me on my website. It is krbankstononline.com. You can find me on Facebook at KR Bankston or KR Bankston the author. I have 2 pages. You can find me on Twitter at KR Bankston. You can find me on Instagram at Book Opera Legacy.
Next person.
This is Laura. I'll go ahead. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, under my name, of course, Laura T. Johnson. My website is authorlauratjohnson.org. I have to throw that out there. I tell everybody the basis of my platform is domestic violence. So my articles on my website, everything that I put on there is based on domestic violence. I'm on Twitter, and I'm Author Laura J on Twitter. So that's it.
Okay. This is Christina, and I am on, where do I start? Where am I? I'm on Instagram, by BY, his stripes 13, just like the scripture Isaiah 53:5, by his stripes 13. That is also my tag on, what did I say, Instagram, on Snapchat as well. Twitter, I am Christina Mial, Mial. My website is ChristinaMial.com. That's ChristiinaMial.com. And you can follow my ministry page on Facebook, By His Stripes Outreach Ministries.
Thank you.
And I am Chelle Ramsey. I can be found at ChelleRamsey.com on my website. My blog is the Beautifully Inspired blog, which can also be linked to from my website, ChelleRamsey.com. I can be found on Facebook at Chelle Writes, ChellewRites, and I am on Twitter and Instagram at Undeniably Chelle. On Twitter, it's Undeniably Chelle, Chell, and Instagram, it's Undeniably Chelle, Chelle. And I'm also on Pinterest at Chelle's Books. All of my books can be found on Amazon under Chelle Ramsey or at bit.ly/Chelle's Book Cafe. Once again, that's bit.ly Chelle's Book Cafe.
All right, I have one last question. What's one thing you... Hold on, I went to the wrong question. What's one thing you wish you known before you reached where you are now? What's one thing you wish you known before you reached where you are now?
That a closed door wasn't an end.
Amen.
It wasn't the end. That one door, and if it wasn't for those closed doors, I would not have turned in the direction of the open door. So just because you get a no, that's not the end. Something that I like to say now that I wish that I had known then was not to focus on the wall of my problem, because God has already given me the escape of my promise.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that because I like what you said. I like that.
Everybody.
You gotta have your own.
That's powerful.
Nobody else sharing?
I mean,
Yeah,
in all seriousness, yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That's really how I felt.
Because we've all heard no, and it was like, what if we all stop? You know, that no.
Yeah.
What my sister say? What you got? 30-something books? Like, you can't get 30-something books if you had listened to a no.
Exactly.
You know?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, ladies. This has been interesting. I enjoyed this conversation.
I did too.
Yes, me too.
I look forward to hopefully inviting you on again and talk some more about different things. I'm always looking for guests, so you know how to hit me up. I would like to thank our sponsor for this episode, Virtual Tea with LaShonda Promotion Strategy Sessions. Check the link in the show notes to order your promotion audit. I want to thank you ladies for being a part of the StoreMeg Writers Cafe. I want to thank our listeners for taking time to listen to the podcast. Please feel free to write a review and let me know what you think of this episode. Please share the podcast with your community. If you have a topic you want us to discuss on the cafe, or if you would like to be a sponsor of an episode, send it to onesormeg@gmail.com. This is LaShonda Hoffman, and I will see you on the next.